I hate being a software engineer. I hate software engineering. I'm so tired of working as a software engineer. Don't become a software engineer. 81% of software engineers are unsatisfied with their current job. Yes, we like to complain. And yes, working as a software engineer or any other technical job in a corporate environment or in a startup that is not your startup, while it can be satisfying in the short term when you actually change jobs and you're working on something new for a while, it becomes deeply unsatisfying in the long run if all you did was just to grind away at it. Pointless scrums, team estimates that we don't control, micromanaging managers, offensive ass-kissing, and fake corporate social friendliness. These are a slow burn and they just chip away at your sense of self-worth if you stay for too long in a position. And that's why software engineers need to change jobs, because otherwise, one, you become less competitive, so as time passes it's going to be harder to switch jobs, and two, you lose your passion for programming, the passion that got you there in the first place. So without something to look forward to, or the curiosity and the satisfaction that you have accomplished a new task, eventually you're gonna burn out. I like programming, but find working as a software developer stressful and boring. It's a complex web of spaghetti code of different tech stacks that barely work together, endless sprints. Like this guy says, right? The fact that they call them sprints and then they just go back to back to back for infinity always gets me. Like a track athlete just runs one sprint and then they're done. At least give us the respect of calling them marathons. The analogy with the track athlete that runs one sprint and then they're done is actually a very good one. But management, if they would call them marathons, it would simply imply that you have to run at a slow pace, to maintain energy for the distance. But management doesn't really care about you burning out after 2 months of endless sprints. And the language that we choose here matters, guys. Like sprints, stack ranking, and all of these terms, they matter. And the language that we currently use, I think that the language that these business teams are often using is very disrespectful to the efforts that we put every day to be good engineers. Sprints and agile development can have their own video because there are so many things that are wrong there that I'm just gonna stop banging this drum. But do let me know down in the comments, what do you think about sprints, about Scrum and Agile? I would definitely love to know your experience so far. As a senior dev with 10 years of experience, I have never been so tired and exhausted. And it's not like I don't like my work. I still do like coding, creating products, system design, etc. But I hate how work looks right now. Micromanagement, meetings that could be emails, politics of business people, and above all, a little interest in bringing real value. I think this is why people feel tired, not because of software engineering per se, but due to the fact that they see no real value in what they're doing. What's the point of those endless sprints and meetings? Why do we need to hurry? What are we building here? When words like role and culture are more important than the actual value that you bring, and when you need to work 60 hours a week thinking about some app that is just going to disrupt the industry and change the world, then of course you start feeling tired and burned out. You cannot really be excited and focused and on it for an infinite amount of time. Management sees software engineers just as coders or just like typing code in a computer, right? I mean, how hard can it be? Just type that, it's not just manual labor, okay? So you better be thankful, you better stop complaining and do your job. Damn programmers, we need to outsource this as fast as possible so we don't have to deal with them anymore. Now, you might say that, I work my 9 to 5 and that's it. I don't put more effort. If you can have this separation, then good. But for most of us, it doesn't really work like that because you still need to upskill and keep up to date with whatever the new shiny toy is this month. And also if you have to solve a problem at work, right? You cannot just shut your brain at 5. You're still going to be thinking about ways to solve that problem or about some office politics that annoyed you that day. So you don't really switch off. And those 40 hours a week turn into 50 or 60 hours easy. I'm lucky in this sense that I purposely take long breaks and I literally work in sprints, of course, like everybody, but I work in my own sprints because otherwise if I would work on somebody else's timeline all the time, then I would definitely hate this as well. And nowadays I spend a lot more time trying to do things outside of programming, rather than just grinding on that treadmill. Check out this gem on Twitter. Some companies can turn the most motivated scientists and engineers into unproductive,
complacent hamsters. They do this by introducing a large number of levels and process heavy performance reviews several times a year. People become obsessed with their level, obsessed with comparing themselves against the level of their peers. They choose not to solve hard problems because they rather do something easy and get promoted to the next level. Managers benefiting from this pretend that those levels are real. Managers who'd rather focus on products and engineering have to stop working for a few weeks to write these performance reviews, mostly with LLMs these days. The whole thing is toxic and an aberration of real feedback, learning, and motivation. And this on top of everything else that I mentioned before: endless sprints, time estimates that we don't control, micromanaging managers, and fake corporate BS. So the way this works is that they hire a corporate leader to grow their teams. Their goal becomes growing a company's number of people, okay? Because this is visible to anybody and that can get you easily promoted. Just because you grow a team from 4 to 50 engineers. Once growing for the sake of growing becomes the goal, then problem solving takes a step back, and the whole goal of a corporate software engineer is to be a resource that can be assigned to any work that sounds like a good idea to the managers. And this is usually work that has the buzzwords like AI or data governance or strategy, or you can even go even more narrow than that to an individual use case like AI chatbots, regardless if they're useful to the company. That doesn't really matter, right? Because saying that you're working on a big use case, that's what really matters. Then people start getting promoted, for the flashy work that doesn't even need to get shipped, or work that actually stays as a POC for half a year until people forget about it. And the hard-working ones are left holding the bag. The manager moves on, right? The world moves on, and the engineers are left burned out, after working back-to-back sprints for literally nothing. And I think most people in tech, they start off with a real interest to do good work. And that's why they get stressed when directions change all the time, and at the end of the day they didn't get to implement anything useful. They simply worked to make their managers look good. What satisfaction do you get by being a corporate software engineer? Many times the only satisfaction and the goal that many end up having, is to climb the corporate ladder. A corporate ladder that just gets longer and longer. Notice just the majority of companies nowadays, they just started to dilute the progression levels, because more levels, what do they mean? More levels actually means that you can just trick the engineer into staying with your company for a longer period. You need to give them smaller carrots to strive for. You don't have to have a big carrot every 2 years. You cut that into multiple small pieces and keep the hamster engaged every half a year. You need to get them into those performance reviews because they will have to pay attention to the 4 or 5 random pillars that your company set out for those promotions. They will try to find meaning in those. They will do those self-assessments and they will definitely try to make themselves look good. That's when you know that you got them. They're going to stay there and they're just going to try to find work that has the best visibility with the least amount of effort. And that's why software engineers become lazy and unproductive, because hard work doesn't pay off anymore. Why work hard when literally nobody else works hard? Best to look busy and have a couple of paragraphs for those pillars on your performance reviews. And always compare yourself to your peers and try to look better than them. That's the key to a non-toxic workplace. Now, the point regarding the managers have to stop working for a few weeks to write performance reviews. Being a tech lead, right, or a manager is the biggest scam that you can fall for, because 90% of the time you're going to be responsible for the state of the entire project, but also you're going to have literally no authority to do anything regarding the scope of the work. No authority and massive accountability. You don't really have the manager title that could get you a better job as a real manager somewhere else. You just have a nice title that comes with a lot more responsibility, but with no authority. Only that you're going to take the blame for any of your team members that under-deliver, okay? And yes, that it also includes your outsourced team that you're going to need to lead. The one with the junior engineers from India or from Vietnam. You're going to be responsible if they mess things up. Too many layers of management trying to justify their existence with extra meetings makes things unpleasant. There's also performance reviews that have nothing to do with actual performance, office mandates, and the constant push to play office politics. As for actual business requirements to give you a little creative liberty as a developer versus Jira tasks already translated from business-specific technical requirements coming from the PM, and you're going to be told to stay in your lane. This is something that became more and more widespread. You get a non-technical PM that creates technical requirements based on his private conversations with the business teams. Let developers focus on their code. They don't really have to be involved in business decisions. That's our job, Let them focus on their code and getting this stuff ready in the sprint. If you just work like this, right, with business teams that are completely separated from the development teams, then engineering jobs become very task-specific and way too disconnected from the big picture. I came to the conclusion that this is done by design because software engineering was never respected by business people, Software engineers are just the help. They just need to focus on their code. Let developers focus on their code. And soon, after they build the product, we're going to outsource the maintenance to India, we're going to make them train their replacements, and then fire all of them. So of course people hate being a corporate software engineer. You're just the help, okay? No authority, just tolerated by business until they can outsource you to a lower cost of living country. Software engineering went downhill in culture over the last 10 years. No one 10 years ago would have had things like performance reviews to push out a percentage of people or to force attrition through office attendance metrics because there was a real shortage of developers. Now we have huge supply and companies are reducing their headcounts. In fact, we have been in decline since 2019, which matches my expectations of the best culture within software engineering. Sure, there was a lot of hiring in 2021, but in terms of agile teams and actually coding meaningful things and not just hoarding talent, 2019 was the peak. I think this is 95% accurate because I think the peak was actually reached in 2018. And I say that even the quality of developers has decreased a lot since 2018 or 2019. So we're in a slow decline that will continue in the next years as more senior developers will actually leave the industry. And then they're going to be replaced by ChatGPT generated code. ChatGPT is kind of making people stupid at my workplace. 96% of people in my team blindly believing AI responses to a technical solution without evaluating its complexity costs versus the cost of keeping it simple by reading official documentations or blogs and making a better judgment of the answer. Only me and our team's architect actually tried to go through the documentations and the blogs before designing solutions, let alone use AI help. He talked to the team to try to solve this, right? But the team actually says that it's either too much effort or that it may get delivery delayed. And their engineering manager couldn't care less. Listen, if nobody cares, this guy will eventually stop caring as well. And again, as more senior developers leave the industry, we're going to be left with people that only know AI-generated code that they have to glue together to make it work. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, right? It's going to create jobs for people that will have to come in and sort out that mess. But who will be qualified to do so in 10 years? If you want to be that person, right? Getting cloud certified is a great way to learn the jobs of the future. And at getthatbadge.com, we offer practice exams to help you prepare for cloud certification exams. We currently have both Azure and Databricks practice exams, and we're adding more every week. Definitely check it out, getthatbadge.com. What do you like or dislike about the tech industry and software engineering? Let me know down in the comments, and if you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, I still thank you for listening this long, and I will see you in the next one.